Benjamin Netanyahu gonna meet with Donald Trump. Today we've learned Ben Gvir again, he canceled his visit to the United States. He wanted to go to New York, and we know what is the atmosphere in New York, and the people are gonna go out against him and against what's going on in Gaza, in the West Bank, and you see the reason that he has canceled his visit. But I don't know what Benjamin Netanyahu what is the main objective of Benjamin Netanyahu and the new meeting with Donald Trump. How do you understand that?
Well, they did announce today that he's canceling the visit.
Benjamin Netanyahu, no, he's going to go to the United States, but Ben Gvir has canceled his visit to the United States because he's not that important. I think what's important is the meeting between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah. Do we know what date?
Not yet. We don't know.
Yeah. So Netanyahu's going to come, and they're going to have, we'll probably have all the great photo ops and the pledges again of support for Israel, et cetera, et cetera. This is, but it's not right now. That's not going to change the fact that the United States is withdrawing its forces. I learned last night, was it, I can't remember, it was either Mario or Suleiman. I guess Mario reported that the B-52s that were stationed at Farnsworth in Britain, they have now left and come back to the United States. And after they left, a group of F-15s that had been based at Jordan flew into the UK en route back to the United States. So there is a drawdown of U.S. military force that had been deployed into the region. That's coming back. So what Netanyahu, I'm sure would try to press Trump for, some sort of military commitment. And I don't know if Trump will be able to give it.
What sort of commitment is that gonna? Does he really want to go after Iran again? And
absolutely, they want to go after Iran again. Yeah.
So the outcome. What sort of outcome is he seeking for?
Well, he's going to try. I would presume he's going to try to talk Trump into another attack on Iran. Because they're and try to get Trump's support, continued support for maintaining Israeli operations in southern Lebanon. Oh. Now, also, there are issues with respect to Gaza. Apparently, Trump he's backed away from the demand that Hamas be disarmed. So,
because there is no way to disarm Hamas. If that was possible, Israelis would have done that before.
Well, it's possible, but at a tremendous cost. It'd be a very bloody fight. It would probably devolve into hand-to-hand combat, and Israel doesn't want to do that. They're trying to minimize their casualties. They don't care how many casualties they inflict on the Palestinians, but they want to minimize their own.
You mean Israelis going in Gaza? Because we know that they were not able to go deep because of the ambushes in Gaza. And
right. But I mean, I'm just saying, you can do it, but recognize you're going to be ambushed. You're going to have casualties. You're going to get a lot of people killed and wounded. And Israel, despite all their tough talk, they don't want to incur that risk. So that's why you've had Hamas able to hold them off.
They really feel that they can annex the West Bank, and
they have been. Yeah, absolutely.
Last time we hear Donald Trump say the no annexation of the West Bank. Do you think he's going to stay the way that he is going to stay in the same position, no annexation of the West Bank, or he's going to change his position on the West Bank?
Well, he's not going to force the Israelis to give up their settlements in the West Bank. That's, I think that's pretty certain. It doesn't matter what he says. It's like, what is he willing to do? Is he willing to cut off aid to Israel and say, no, you're going to have to get out of the West Bank, or we're done. There's no more aid. I don't see him doing that. That would be the ideal thing to do, but he won't do that. So we're going to see, I think you'll see the continued encroachment of Israel into the West Bank and to attempt to drive the Palestinians out.
I think,
which includes Palestinian Christians.
I see many ways that even Europeans can come out with some sort of legal argument against Israel, because nobody's happy about what Israel is doing in Palestine, to be honest.
Correct.
And how legally do you think that, is there any legal process to avoid that?
No, this is not, the only thing that Israel will understand is if it is completely isolated. So like right now in the UK, there's a group of parliamentarians from both the Tory party and the Labour Party that are working together to impose more sanctions on Israel. But it's still a minority number. It's only like 75. So as long as the countries of the West continue to look the other way and not enforce sanctions on Israel, Israel will continue to do what it's doing.
Larry, the new reports, it shows that it seems that Iran and the United States going to meet again on July 11th in Pakistan to talk. And the new round of talks, it seems that they're going to talk about the Iranian frozen assets and the sanctions on Iran, basically primary and secondary sanctions, IAEA, UN Security Council. These are going to be the next steps of the negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
So far, what we've learned from the Iranian nuclear program, they have two sites in Iran. One of them is in Tehran. They say research reactor in Tehran, which was IAEA can go there, and inspectors can go there and verify. And in Bushehr, which is a cooperation between Iranians and Russians, they can go there. But other sites in Iran are not open for the inspectors of IAEA. So let's assume the time by July 11th. And do you see so far with what we've seen from those important points in MOU, are they advancing? Are they somehow moving forward?
Oh, no, I think there's zero progress at all. So, it was signed on June 17th, 60 days that Iran will allow ships to pass without paying tolls. And then on day 61, they're going to force tolls. There are so many different issues. And the biggest issue is Lebanon. The United States is supposed to force Israel out of Lebanon. Instead, it's cutting the deal to let Lebanon allow Israel to stay in southern Lebanon and to occupy territory, and also to use it as an excuse to, find ways to bring, Syria in to maybe attack Hezbollah. So, I think for all practical purposes, the MOU is dead. The United States is not going to free up the assets, the frozen assets. It's not going to take major strides forward get rid of all the sanctions that the UN and others proposed. The only thing they're allowing right now is the oil to flow out because the West needs the oil. Now, the United States isn't getting any of this oil. That's what's fascinating. When you look at the ships that are coming out, there's a crude oil tanker like now called the Long Wind. It's headed to Fujairah. So it came out of the Persian Gulf, and it came out through the Iranian route. You've got another tanker out there I'm just looking at that's headed to India, Mumbai. So none of these tankers are going to the United States.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting is the United States needs those tankers, but not getting it. So it's I'm just sitting here, yeah. So a lot of these tankers that are coming out, they're going to Fujairah, and then where they go, maybe from Fujairah they're going to go on to, say, the United States, but from Fujairah to one of the oil terminals where the refineries are in southern United States, that's a 42-day trip. So you're not going to see anything like immediate relief for the United States. There's going to be at least a month of severe disruption.
I think that's one of the main reasons for many people arguing that there is no way for the United States to get back to the fight again.
Well, yeah, I mean, for right now, yes, that's, and again, I look at it in terms of, do we see for a military action to take place? That means there was a planning and operations cell, an actual bureaucratic entity, and these are called for this latest, for the attacks on the 28th of February. Those were handled by what are called CATs, C-A-T, Crisis Action Teams. Those stood up and started operating a week before that attack on the 28th of February, at least a week. And they've now been taken down. They're now operating 8 to 5, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, bankers' hours. So the fact that you don't have that planning cell that's up and operating 24/7 tells you that there are no significant military operations being planned or on the verge of being carried out. So you have to look at things like that to understand, is the United States going to go back to war? If they decide, okay, we need to re-engage, then that cell's got to stand up, and then you got to start deploying air assets and other support equipment and personnel to the region. Right now, they're withdrawing all of them, so that mitigates against any kind of major flare-up over at least the next 2 to 3 months. And frankly, I don't see Trump wanting to, light off a new level of war with Iran, a month or two before the elections, the midterm elections in November.
Yeah. The Marco Rubio and his people tried to put a lot of pressure on countries around the world.
Yep.
In order to force them not to go to the funeral of the supreme leader of Iran. From the reports so far, we've learned that more than 100 countries participated. And when it comes, Larry, to, funeral is not, I don't know what is the importance of that for the United States to avoid that. It seems that in the eyes of the administration, it's a political sort of support for Iranians. But the supreme leader is a religious leader. He's not, the president. He's a religious leader of Iran. and going to the funeral is not that much against the United States and the Trump administration. I don't know, what is your perception of that? Maybe
Oh no!
they
Look. This is all about discrediting Iran if you can. If 100 countries go to commemorate and memorialize the Ayatollah Khamenei, this is a de facto recognition that Iran is not a pariah state. The United States wants Iran to be treated as a pariah. So my understanding is at least 13 countries that were supposed to attend have bailed out. A couple of, several from South America, Africa, a few from Africa. Reportedly, South Africa didn't attend. I'm not sure about that. Because of Iran's status as a BRICS nation, because of Iran's status as fighting against this apartheid policy of Israel, I'd really be shocked if the South Africans yielded to American pressure on that. If they did, shame on them. They're just a despicable act, in my view. Look, this funeral is historic. There has been nothing like it in history. That's what people don't understand. I looked up yesterday, doing some research on what largest funerals, state funerals, etc. Iran currently holds the record for the largest state funeral. That was the burial of the Ayatollah Khomeini back in 1989. That brought out 10 million Iranians. The view now is that the funeral services, the events, I'll call them, that are taking place over the course of the next week until July 9th, are going to involve more than 30 million Iranians. So to be triple what was the previous record. But I also I tried to look up and see, we've had high profile funerals for leaders that have died or been killed. The funeral of John F. Kennedy was an example. And I think that brought over representatives from over 70, 80 nations. It looks like now, from this standpoint, what's taking place in Iran is the largest in history of the world. We have never seen something this big, this massive, with as many different countries represented. But the West is trying not to cover it and pretend it's not happening.
Yeah. It seems that they see in the eyes of the Trump administration it's more geopolitical. If they go there, it means that they're supporting Iran against the United States, which doesn't necessarily mean that, in my opinion, because these are relationship between governments and countries. It doesn't mean that they are picking sides. Even with Saudi Arabia, I would assume one of the countries. I was surprised Saudi Arabia that they participated in the funeral, and because I didn't think that they're gonna go there because of what has happened, the war and the outcome of the war and the attacks. And
yeah, look, the only three that didn't attend out of the Gulf were Kuwait, Bahrain, and UAE.
Yeah.
Qatar, Oman, and Saudi Arabia attended. And actually, I would have been surprised if the Saudis had not attended, because they do have diplomatic relations with Iran.
It shows that there is something going on diplomatically between the two countries. And I assume that the United States put pressure on them not to go. But finally deciding to go, it means something. This is the country that means something for Iran, in my opinion. And
yeah, I mean, look, MBS is not a trustworthy figure at all. Good Lord. But the fact that he still appears amenable to working with the Pakistanis. I think Pakistan's influence in this is significant. the role it's playing behind the scenes, and you had Prime Minister Sharif show up. So you've had actually some
We
significant.
had all of them. We had Field Marshal, we had Sharif, we had.
I'm not sure. I don't think General Asman Munir showed up.
Yeah, he went together.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
all
All
of
right.
them, member of the parliaments. It was huge, the Pakistani delegation.
Okay. So, yeah, what I'm wondering is going on in Tehran is, do they have enough hotel rooms for everybody that's showing up?
Yeah.
This is, or the guy, the owners of the various hotels, they're having a good week.
Yeah.
But I guess Pashinyan came down from Armenia. I don't know about Aliyev. I don't know if Aliyev came in from
No.
Azerbaijan.
No, the head of parliament from Azerbaijan and the vice president of Turkey. Erdogan didn't go. He said that later on, I'm going to go to Iran. I don't know what does that mean, but it seems that he's bargaining right now with the United States. They have NATO summit, and he's trying to buy more engines from the United States, and he needs to be closer to the Trump administration. But overall, in my opinion, what matters the most is the relationship between Iran and Saudi Arabia and Qatar, which is so important for the whole region, because they were trying to. You remember the rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia by Chinese. I think this is a new level. This is a new level of partnership or relationship, not partnership, between the two countries. Somehow understanding coming out of the war, and the role of the Pakistani government is so important. And they're not just today. The Pakistani Prime Minister was in Turkey. He said that Pakistan and Turkey are two bodies with one heart, and the government in Pakistan is somehow so crucial for the security of the region, Larry.
Pakistan's they're the point country for China and Russia in the creation of this new, I could call it security architecture for the Persian Gulf. One of the things there's a lot of concern about is Israel taking an action like trying to assassinate the new Ayatollah, or to launch an attack on one of the funeral gatherings to try to kill as many senior Iranian officials as possible. And there have been reports that there was an actual plot underway, but you'd expect Pakistan to play a key role in warning the Israelis, you better back the hell off and not do anything like that.